Welcome to Lesson 16B, Validation Helpers in MVC. Your web application must verify that all of the data entered by users is valid. This once formidable task has been made easier by the special class of HTML helpers that support validating input from an HTML form. Most of these special HTML helpers are members of the Validation Extensions class. These are the validation helpers that are included as part of the ASP.NET MVC2 framework. Enable Client Validation method enables client-side validation. The Validate method retrieves the validation metadata for the given model and applies each rule. The Validate For method retrieves the validation metadata for the given strongly typed object and applies each rule. The Validation Message method displays the error message if an error exists for a given field. The Validation Message For method displays all of the error messages associated with a strongly typed object. The Validation Summary method returns a bulleted list of all of the errors in the Model State Dictionary object. The Model State Dictionary represents the state of an attempt to bind data from a model to an action method. Validation errors are passed from a controller to a view by using the Model State Dictionary. Both the view and the controller have a model state property to access the Model State Dictionary. Model State has the following properties. Errors. This property contains all of the errors that occur during model binding. The view can add errors to the model state using the Add Model Error method. And also value. This property contains the original values of the fields. The Validation Summary method returns a bulleted list of validation messages from the Model State Dictionary object. The validation summary is rendered using a span element and an UL element, all nested within a div element. The div element uses the validation-summary-errors class defined in the site.css file located in the content folder to style its contents. The validation messages are rendered using a span element. It uses the field-validation-error class that has a CSS rule that is also defined in the site.css file. In this lesson, you use the validation helpers to provide both server-side and client-side validation on a web page, and there are no lesson requirements. To start this lesson, select New Project, ASP.NET MVC2 Web Application, enter Lesson 16B for the name of the application, and click the OK button. First thing we're going to do is add a new model. So select Add Class and name it user.cs. We're going to use some code snippets to enter three properties. So hit prop tab, string tab, username, and hit enter to go to the next line. Then type prop tab, string tab, password, and hit enter to go to the next line. And then hit prop tab, string tab, confirm password, and now build the application by selecting Build Lesson 16B from the Build menu. Now we're going to add a view. Go to the Views folder and create a new folder named User. Right-click the User folder and select Add View. Name the new view Create. Click the Create a Strongly Typed View checkbox and select the model's user class. Change the view content to Create and hit the Add button. We need to make two changes to this default view. The text box 4 needs to be changed to password 4 for the password field. Likewise, the text box 4 needs to be changed to password 4 for the confirm password field. Now we need to add a controller. Name the controller user controller and click the Add Action method for Create, Update, Delete, and Detail scenarios. Navigate to the Create action method that takes the HTTP post and replace that Our new create action method, first it validates that all the fields that are required are present, and if not, it adds an error message to the model state. It verifies the passwords match. If everything's valid, it redirects you to the index. However, if it's not valid, it returns the same view so that the validation helpers can display the appropriate error messages. Now we're just going to add a tab to our site master for user. So just the user. There's only one method that we've actually written, which is create, and update this to user. Now click the F5 button to run the application. Click the User tab, click the Create button, and you can see we do have validation. Now let's add client-side validation. So go back to the create.aspx page, and before the begin form, add an html.enable client validation method. In order for this method to work, we do need to add a few references. So go back to the site master, and in the head element, add references to 3 of the JavaScript files. And luckily, all the JavaScript files that we need are included by default by the template. So the first one is going to be the Microsoft Ajax.js file, and we just drag that over. The next is the Microsoft MVC Ajax.js file. And then finally, the Microsoft MVC Validation.js file. Now I simply click the F5 button to start the application. Click the User tab. And once again, click the Create button. This time all the validation occurred on the client, and it did not require a full round trip to the server.